when we are working with the HDMI audio, let's go back to what you were alluding to first. We'll start simple. We got a cable box.
Yes.
Right. In fact, we'll break it down even more. We have a Comcast cable box. Are those the ones that are IP based now that have only an HDMI output on them?
A lot of them only have HDMI on because it saves cost.
Yeah, let's assume that it is. So
DirecTV is the same way now.
Cable box doesn't have, actually DirecTV, we'll use DirecTV as an example. So DirecTV, they only have an HDMI output on their Genies. Now, some of the older Genies still have that 9-pin DIN connector that will give you analog audio, and it does work. I have used that myself in some installations. But
and component.
And component.
But it's locked at 480 if you plug in an HDMI.
Right. So when you are using that connection, let's say from there, I'm going to my surround sound AVR. I have a theater. I have two. Actually, in fact, I have a distributed audio system, which has speakers out in the patio, in the kitchen, in the bedrooms, and all over the place.
Obviously, we're paying you too much money.
No.
Because you have all those things.
No. This is my dream world.
Oh,
Dream
okay.
world.
Okay.
But I also have my surround sound in the living room or in the great room. Now, I want to
I'm back to my statement.
Okay. I'm back to, I want to keep my surround sound audio because let's say, for instance, I like to watch things on the Sci-Fi Channel and movies and whatever else on there as well as normal TV, which for the life of me, I don't fully understand. Why do the news channels have surround sound audio?
I legitimately have no answer.
It doesn't make any sense to me.
I get it. I get it in racing, football.
Sports and movies, right?
I don't get it in golf.
Yeah.
And baseball.
Yeah. Golf and baseball.
Maybe the crowd noise.
Maybe, but like on the news channels, that's my biggest thing. Why do we have surround sound audio on the news channels? If anybody is in the broadcast industry, thank you. Let us know. I'm really curious as to why we have surround sound on news channels. If it's just because, I can get that and understand it, but if there's a specific reason other than that, I'd like to know.
Yeah, because you actually have to have an engineer to do the steerage.
Right. So when we are looking at from there, so we have our surround sounds room, and then we have stereo audio in the other rooms through our distribution system. Most distribution systems don't have a digital input on them, which would do the down mixing portion of it. So how do we get the audio off of the HDMI connection over to our distribution system?
Well, that question comes down to one major point.
Right.
Do I need to send forward 2-channel or do I need to send forward multi-channel? Because there's 2 different boxes depending on your application.
Right.
Actually, multiple boxes, but really 2 types.
So I'm actually going to take one step back without adding any extra devices. I'm going to give an option because you can take the audio out of certain receivers, certain AVRs that have a second zone output on them over to your, exactly, I know where you're coming from, take it over there to that. Now, there's a couple problems with that. One, the first problem is going to be control. A lot of times you have issues in a larger system or even a smaller system. Actually, a smaller system is probably more difficult because you don't have the full control system there to do it, but controlling it, telling it, okay, well, which source am I listening to and sending out the second zone. The second problem with that is
which to me is the number 1 problem.
Right. The second problem to that is the down mixing problem because I have my surround sound and most AVRs that are out there now do not down mix the surround sound audio to stereo for specifically
okay, so you
the second
completely
zone.
Skipped my concern.
I did. Oh, you have another zone.
Yeah, delay.
Another one. Oh, the delay.
The delay.
Yes. So with the delay.
Find me an AVR where there's no delay.
Actually, I will find you many of them because if they're not, if you are getting stereo sound
on HDMI,
on an HDMI, and then if the AVR is handling it, there's very little delay, if any.
There is still.
Yeah. So with that, those are the 3 big problems: how to control it, down mixing it, and also if there is any kind of delay on the sound. So with that, that's where it comes into the question of, well, what are you willing to give up and what are you not willing to stand for? So I'm not willing to stand for a badly controlled system. When I'm designing a system for a client, it has to be seamless to the point where they push a button and it just works on that side. That's how I handle things on my end. I'd rather not have to go through the process of training somebody on something and rather just be fairly user intuitive, right? Which you and I won't have more discussion on that, and we'll have our own private discussion on that afterwards, right? So then from there, the next thing is that I'm not willing to give up surround sound in my surround sound zone.
Lord, no.
So the last thing, of course, being the delay. Now, the delay, depending on how far apart your zones are, delay may not be a problem, because if there is no possibility of hearing the other zone,
Yeah, if you're out in the
you're not gonna have a
patio versus
problem.
the theater, it's not an issue.
Right. Now, so those first two things are my things that I do not want to give up.
However, just so you know, if you're
Yeah.
listening to a music channel, some of the music channels are in multi-channel surround.
They are.
And if you've got an open great room and you've also got speakers in the kitchen and the patio and it's all open, it will drive you crazy
Yes. Yes, it will.
on that delay.
Yep. So, don't want to do that. Now,
No, no.
so here's what we do. We add in one extra device. We are going to put in place an audio breakout, right? So we have back here is our audio breakout. This is our older one. This is the ABO2, CS-HDM ABO2. So this is an older generation.
Well, that doesn't solve your problem, though.
It does not.
The two doesn't.
Yeah, the two does not. Now, what this does do is this does give me better control, because I'm now taking the audio directly from this point here, and I'm sending it into the distributed audio system.
Right.
Right?
But that one's not sending it forward on the 2.
Well, the 2 is not. Now let's pretend it's the 3.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So the ABO3 does transmit the audio out the HDMI output on this.
Continues
It
forward.
continues forward. Now the problem though is that I still don't have stereo sound.
Right, you've lost the center channel because all you're doing is breaking out the right and left.
Right. Now, and if it's Dolby Digital, you may not get anything. In fact, you'll probably get a garbled, not even that, you'll get that weird noise that you get out of a compressed signal. So, the way to get around that is one last piece. Actually, there's two options. You can either do the ABO3 with the CS-DAC2, which is a down mixing digital to analog converter, not that piece, or you can do this piece. This is the CS-HTM ABOD.
With the licensed
Dolby Digital and
Decoding.
DTS audio decoding. Now, this is important again because of one simple fact. I am now keeping, actually two great facts. I am having better control because I'm having a more direct connection from the Apple TV or whatever source device I have to my distributed audio system. And I'm also down mixing that audio from the surround sound audio out to stereo. So that piece is great. It will give you Dolby Digital audio out the HDMI connection, and it will downmix the stereo audio on the RCA connections on the underside of it there.
And it's real RCA connections, not a stereo mini.
Right.
Now there's also an optical out.
That is correct.
So if you do have a device that can accept an optical input, a Sonos, a Hios, or a secondary AVR,
Yep.
it's a great way to do it because you help eliminate ground loops
Yes.
over the optical cable versus a copper-based
Yes.
cable.
Now, what's also interesting is that all of those outputs are live at the same time.
Yes.
And so that means that if you have other types of audio devices that you need to get that signal into at the same time, or you just have different types of connections rather than just the RCA connection, you can use it that way as well. So that's just one problem though. There's a couple other problems. And specifically it runs into EDID problems. So we are the HDMI people, and so inevitably we're bringing it back over to that topic. But what I want to talk about is televisions that do not accept Dolby surround sound or Dolby Digital audio.
That's the one that starts with an S and doesn't follow it closely with an O.
Correct. Yeah. Starts with an S, ends with a G.
Yeah.
Now,
they offer more panels now than they used to.
yes. Now, and I will say this is an older problem. The newer display, newer panels that they have, newer
But
displays
there's
that they
a
have don't have
lot
that
of those panels out there.
but it's out there. So here's what we run into with this. Let's say, for instance, I have that panel that does not accept Dolby Digital.
Okay.
Okay, it only accepts PCM or LPCM. Now,
Two-channel audio.
two-channel audio. Now,
Not 2.1, just 2.
correct. So, in that case, what it's going to do is it's going to talk back to the source device, and it's going to tell the source device, don't even try to send me Dolby Digital, send me stereo PCM. Now, in certain circumstances, you're going to run into a problem with that, because if you then have that connection, but then you're using a device to get a digital connection off of that HDMI cable, you won't have surround sound, you'll have PCM. So there are certain circumstances where you need to tell it what type of audio to send it. Again, our ABOD, it does have the ability to take over the EDID information for the audio.
And broadcast the correct multi-channel commands back to the source.
Back to the source. Now, the reason why that's important is because I can still get the stereo information from the TV, but the ABOD is actually going to say, we're going to get rid of that information, and instead, I'm going to tell it that I want the bit stream information from the source device. Now,
so the multi-channel.
The multi-channel audio. What that's going to do is it's going to tell the source device, give me everything you've got, give me the highest quality audio you have, send it to me, and we'll use that instead.
Assuming it's not Atmos.